Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jan Boydston, and I'm a children's author, a co-author of this book my brother and I wrote several years ago during COVID, and it's called Finding Socksville. It's about Matilda and her brother Tomas and how they discover where their dad's lost socks go. So it's a pretty fun book. Uh, it's available on Amazon and many places. We would love for you to buy it. Most times children really like the book. Um, I have a new book that's at the publisher now. I hope to see it pretty soon in its final form. It's also about Matilda and Tomas, but this time it's called Matilda and Tomas Have an Idea. And I'll tell you more about it as the book becomes available for you to purchase. Our book and many other books are in this lovely resource that was published by Tom Tracy, Catalog of Diverse Kids Books. And I got interested in this because I became a reading buddy after I retired in public school in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I realized that there are a lot of children that feel kind of excluded. There's something about them, not like mainstream, although they are mainstream, but it can be tricky sometimes to find books for everybody, for every child. So Tom has compiled this lovely book. I believe it's going to be available on Amazon this fall. You might be able to pre-order it if you look up Tom Tracy's website or Facebook page and talk with him. He's a really sweet guy. But anyway, we were thrilled. Our book was included in that, and I just wanted to talk about that. But in addition to that, I really have a healthy respect for other children's authors. I realize now what it takes to write a children's book and have it illustrated and everything, pretty big task. So I try to read different books online. This one I found in my public library, and it's called These Bees Count by Alison Formento, and it's illustrated, beautifully illustrated by Sarah Snow. Thank you, Alison and Sarah, for this absolutely beautiful book. Do you ever go on field trips? Where Mr. Tate's class loves taking field trips. Today, the bus went to a farm. And if you look real close, you'll see what it says on the farm. The Busy Bee Farm. Well, you probably had a clue about what the book was all about since it's The Bees Can Count. They walk through. I want you to see these illustrations. Look at this beautiful apple orchard. I used to live close to apple orchards, and they are spectacularly beautiful in the spring. So let's see what's going on. I have to see if I can get this correct. Here we go. They walked through a grove of blossoming apple trees. Is this a tree farm? Natalie asked. Trees grow here, Farmer Ellen said, but the Busy Bee Farm, we farm bees and honeys. Honey tastes good, said Jake. Ellie held on to Mr. Tate. Bees sting. Only when they're afraid or angry, said Farmer Ellen. And beekeepers always dress for safety before visiting a hive. I think we missed a page. We did. I think it's an important page. It won't matter. It's not out of order or anything. Farmer Ellen led the class through a big field. There weren't any cows, horses, or sheep. There were only bees and tall flowers. Have you ever been to a bee farm? I don't think I ever have. Let's see. Amy picked a flower. That must be Amy with a flower in her hand. Twirled it. Ellie looked around. Is this a flower farm? Farmer Ellen smiled. No, but we grow lots of flowers. So you see in the next, they walk through the apple orchard. Is this the tree farm? They're wondering what this is. This is pretty cool. Look, they get to put on protective suits. Really neat, huh? Farmer Ellen took everyone to a small shed. Mr. Tate helped give out beekeeper gear. The children pulled white jumpsuits over their clothes. You can see them there. Shin smoothed the net over her face. Here comes the bride. She's pretending she's a bride. We look like astronauts, said Jake. I feel safe in this gear, said Ellie. So Ellie was afraid, but now that she's got her safety gear on that beekeepers wear, I think most of them wear them. I think some of them don't. I definitely would. Now Ellie feels safe. So look, pretty cool. Great illustration, isn't it? Okay, let's see what's going on here. We'll go this way. Farmer Ellen showed the class a field full of tall boxes. Welcome to the bee yard. These are bee houses and apiaries. You know, I don't think I was real familiar with that word. Honeybees live here in hives. Most fly out each day to work. Bees work? Jake asked. Excuse me. Yes, they collect pollen, which is tiny powder-like grains in flowers for their food. This powder is carried on their legs to crops, flowers, plants, and trees and helps them grow. Sharing pollen this way is called pollination. Sharing's good, said Shin. So look how they're learning. I'm sure you've seen beehives before, bee houses. That's a pretty cool field trip that they're on, don't you think? I thought it was very cool. That's why I picked up the book. Farmer Ellen pushed a can with a long spout into a hole in the back of one bee house. This smoker will help us see the bees. She squeezed the handle and wisps of smoke puffed out. Hundreds of bees followed the smoke trail and flew into the air. See, let's get this so you can see it. I know you've probably seen those cans. So she's putting in the back of the box, and look, the bees go flying out. They don't like the smoke. It kind of bothers them a little bit, but I also understand it can calm them down, you know, when you first approach a bee house. Farmer Ellen said, now watch them work and hear what they say. Bees don't talk, Amy said. They do, Farmer Ellen said. Listen to their buzz. Everyone watched and listened, and this is what they heard. So now they're watching, they're looking up, they're listening. Did you know that bees are talking? I read in the back of the book, there's a pretty detailed explanation, which I won't read today, but it said that the buzzing that we hear, which is their talking, I guess, is the wings of bees. And they flap, we'll call them flapping, flutter, whatever you want to call them, 10,000 times a minute. And that's why we hear them buzzing. That's pretty fast. Okay, look, bees count. One by one, we zip up high, buzzing through the bright blue sky. We fly over to waving dandelions, inviting us to visit. So see, they're flying. They're trying to decide where they want to go. And they see these two waving dandelions, inviting them to come there. Bees are really cool. I don't think you realize how hard they work for us. We wouldn't have our food without them. Isn't that something? We find 3 wild strawberries bursting with sweetness, 4 apple blossoms tickle us with their soft petals. So see, the bees are looking for where they want to harvest pollen. And when they harvest it, I think with the back of their legs, it kind of sticks to it. Then they deposit it to other places. It's all really cool, pollination. So they're sharing. Let's go to poppies. 5 poppies stretched tall, greeting us like best friends. Is that a beautiful illustration or what? And you can see that the bee is flying in. The bee knows where the pollen is. And one of the children is watching, probably mesmerized with what they see. We stop for a drink where 6 farmhands water a crop of raspberries. Be sure get thirsty, Jake said. Shh, said Amy. They're still buzzing. You know, children learn so well. That's why I liked reading to them. They're really fascinated about all kinds of things in the world. And if you just read to them, You can pick up on their fascination too, which is pretty fun. We see 7 clovers dance in sunlight. Aren't these beautiful drawings? Sarah Snow did these. I really do like this book. 8 flowering cherry trees shimmer pink and white. And you can look closely and see the bees are flying. The bees can fly up to 5 miles away from where they live just to collect pollen. And they collect it from so many different places. They're kind of like pollen hunters. And then they share that pollen, as we learned. In the garden, 9 shiny pea pods flutter in the breeze. And look, their fluttering kind of attracts the bees, I think. Look at the beautiful garden. And the bees will go from plant to plant, as you've seen them do if you've ever kind of been in a field before, and pick up pollen as they go. Before we fly home, 10 tulips stand and nod, thankful for our pollen. Buzzing, flying, working, we do more than you may know. Each of us is nature's farmer, helping food and flowers grow. So see, they finished up. If you look real carefully, you'll see the bee. They finished up and they deposited some of their pollen on the tulip, and it helps the tulip grow. So what did you hear? Farmer Ellen asked. Bees count, Shin said. Why else are bees important? Mr. Tate asked. They make honey, Natalie said. So see, they've learned things. Yes, said Farmer Ellen. Bees drink nectar, a sweet liquid from plants, and carry it back to their hives. Why? Asked Natalie. Juice inside a bee's stomach, this is interesting, changes the nectar into honey, said Farmer Ellen. Bees spit the honey into a honeycomb made from beeswax. Then worker bees dry the new honey by flapping their wings faster than we can blink. Jake and Natalie try flapping their arms as fast as bees' wings. So see, we see here, the children are flapping their wings. And I didn't really realize this, that they're drying the honey inside the honeycomb by fluttering their wings over it. And the breeze from it dries the honey. It's all really, really cool. Amy knelt to watch a bee on a clover blossom. Bees sure are busy. Yes, said Farmer Ellen, and without bee pollen, crops wouldn't grow and we wouldn't have food to eat. Did you realize that? So Amy has learned a lot. Ellie said, bees are nicer than I thought. If you remember, Ellie was the one that was kind of afraid of bees because they sting. Farmer Ellen smiled. It's time to check the hive. So they've seen what the bees do to work, and now they're going to check the beehives to see if there's honey in them. I bet there is. Everyone, we want to see this. Everyone helped slide wooden frames from the bee houses they found. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 golden honeycombs. So they all got to bring one into the house. Farmer Ellen said, to get honey from honeycombs, we'll use an extractor. You see the extractor there? It's sitting on the floor. This machine spins honey out, which then flows into jars. We put a cap on tight and label the jar, and it's ready to take home. So see, they've got the jar underneath the extractor, and they put however many of the honeycombs, the boxes, the little triangular boxes that the children have, down into it. I think there's kind of a frame, and you lay them in there, and then it whirls around, and it extracts it. Oh, it's time to go home. I bet they had fun, don't you? Before the class boarded the bus to leave, Farmer Ellen pulled jars from a crate. Would you like a gift from the bees? Sweet, said Jake. Thanks for honey, bees, shouted Natalie, and for helping plants grow, said Shin. So look, the children are very thankful for what the bees did. A bee whisked past Amy's ear. She waved at it. Buzz to you too. Look, they all get a jar of honey. Next time you're in the grocery store, why don't you ask your mother if y'all can go over and look at the honey? And remember the story about these bees count. So she made a play on words that the bees were counting. Of course, I don't think bees really count, but they certainly look around, to see where's the best place where they can, hover over and get the pollen they need. But bees do count as being very important because they create plants for us by pollinating and sharing the pollen they carry in their bodies. In the back of the book, Alison gives a very detailed description more about bees. I worked as a scientist, environmental scientist in the state of Louisiana before I retired and became a reading buddy in public school. So all the details about what the bees do is really fascinating. I'm sure you've heard or may not have, you may learn in school sometime, that the population of bees is kind of diminishing. And the reason is that they think it is because there's a fungus that has started to make the bees kind of sick. So maybe they'll fly away from their bee house and maybe they will never come back. So some people are really planting more flowers that bees really like, trying to attract bees and make natural habitat for them. And some even have kept bees, on their farms and things like that. So I hope you love the book. I know this is kind of a long one. Like I said, I found it at my public library, but I highly recommend it. I think this is going to be one of my top 10 books. These bees count. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've taken a little vacation, but I'm looking forward to read some more books. Take care of yourself. Having a wonderful evening. And as you start back to school, pick up some new books in your library to read. Take care. Bye.